That's not enemies to lovers. Where are the enemies? I have no complaints. I loved it so much. The plot twist was so. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to our April reading wrap up. April was the most horrible reading month I've had this year so far, but actually when I'm looking now back at it, it wasn't that bad, but I've been in the most horrible reading slump ever and I just hate not reading a book, not having a book on the go, or like trying to pick up a book and just not being able to actually go through with it. But we are going to talk about all of that in a minute. I just want to quickly talk to you guys about the reading stats that we have for the month. So from our April TBR that we picked, I only have read 3 out of the 6 books. I have started 2 others, I think, and I have finished them in May, but I literally finished them at the beginning of May. In like the 4 or 5 days, I have not read as much of them in April anyway, so I'm not going to count them. And then in total, we have read 6 books. I have DNF'd 1, and we have read 1 urban fantasy, 2 romances, 1 thriller, 1 lit fic, 1 general fiction, and the average rating was actually 4 stars, which sounds amazing. And then the total amount of pages that we have read, it was 2,523 pages. So it doesn't sound like it was that bad, but because of the reading slump, I just feel like it was horrible for me because I had like 2 weeks where I couldn't and I didn't read anything, or I've tried and it just didn't work. But let's talk about the books that we have read in April. And I'm going to start with the books that I started the month with. So the first book that I have picked up was The Crown of Blood something Wolf. I don't remember the title. I'm going to put a picture on the screen, but that was the DNF for the month. And I was so excited to start this book up because it is like a romance, and the cover was gorgeous. The edition that I had, I already sold it, but the edition that I had was so pretty. I was so obsessed. It was red, it had like beautiful sprayed edges. It was just everything that you'd want from a special edition. And literally before I started it, I just went up online to mark it as currently reading. And I just saw that it was advertised as enemies to lovers, and you've never read a book like this and they truly hate each other. They freaking don't. They didn't hate each other. They wanted to do each other within the first 10 pages of the book. It was so frustrating and it was such a spicy book and it had no substance to it, at least in my opinion. And I really tried. I think I read around like 100-ish, 173 pages. Anyways, I read a lot of pages, even though I knew I'm not going to enjoy it, and I didn't enjoy it. And I wish maybe I didn't push myself for it, because maybe that's why I was in a reading slump. But I just wanted it to be good. I wanted to love the book so much, and I couldn't. I really tried. I just feel like these books are advertised as enemies to lovers, and that's why sometimes they get so popular maybe, and then you start the book and you realize that they love each other and they kiss within the first 10 pages, and I'm like, that's not enemies to lovers. Where are the enemies? They're just lovers. There's no enemies in these enemies to lovers, and it's so frustrating. Like, it's so, it drives me crazy. But anyways, I have DNF that book. So then the first actual book that I have picked up in April was Anxious People by Fredrik Backman. And look at my annotations. I hope you can tell how much I love this book. It is in a reading vlog as well. I'm going to put the link somewhere in the description down below so you can go and watch that. But I love this book so much. This book is one of those books where I'm going to think about, even when I'm 60 years old, that I'm going to make my children read it, because I think it's so important and it has such a different take on humanity and a strong community, and it has this aspect of found family that it's so different from what we find in fantasy or romance books, but it is so deep and it is so well done and it is so emotional, and I love this so much. So this book opens up with a robber that wants to go and rob a bank, that it is actually a cashless bank. So because he's running now away from the police because he attempted to rob a bank and the police are chasing after him, he goes and he finds himself in this apartment that is up for viewing. So there are a lot of different people and couples that are up to see said apartment, and the robber runs in and basically takes everyone hostages, and the story goes from there. You see how everyone has different personalities and how those different personalities impact one another in the room, but also you see each perspective of the each character and how they see life and how they take life and how they deal with life and the problems that everyone at some point faces. And I saw that this book was advertised as a book about idiots, and that's truly what it is. But when you get to understand the meaning of this sentence, you are going to cry your eyes out. I love this book so much, and I genuinely believe that you need to go into this book blind. And I'm not sure if I said it or no, but I think I gave this book, no, I don't think I gave this book 6 stars. So I would highly recommend it. It is my favorite book of the year so far, one of my favorite books of the year so far, because I've had quite a few amazing books this year, but this one is like top 3. So that's how much I love this. I would highly, highly recommend it. And I honestly genuinely get the hype now. Then next, I listened to Between Sisters by Kristin Hannah, and I give this book 4 stars. And so in this book, we are following these 2 sisters, and one of the sisters, Megan, she's the older one, and she is a big divorce attorney. She lives in the city. She is a very city woman. She doesn't believe in love. She's just having one night stands, but she's also suffering with depression, and she's also suffering with anxiety, and she has a lot of things that are going through her life and also through her brain that she's trying to make sense of. And then we are also following the other sister, Claire, and she's the younger one, and she lives on this branch with her father, but she also has a daughter. So she's a single mom, and she is trying to get by day and be the best mom she can be, even though she has this sense of that she's not providing enough for her child because the father is not in the picture. So she is a single mom, and she's struggling as a mother, thinking that she is not doing everything that she can for her kid. And also just a quick mention of her daughter. She is so sweet and she's so amazing. I loved her so much. And so the 2 sisters, they don't really have a good relationship. They don't really talk to each other. They have the occasional happy birthday and happy new year sort of call. That's about it. They can't have a meaningful and deep conversation anymore, because when they were both kids, Megan was 16 and I think Claire was like 10. She was very young. Their mom have left them and they had no dad, and basically Megan had to take care of Claire. And one day child services come about, and basically Megan had to go and find Claire's dad because they had different dads, and they're both taken in by Claire's dad, but Megan doesn't feel like she can fit in. She doesn't feel like she's wanted, and she is like jealous as a child of the relationship that Claire and her dad automatically have. And so she runs away, and that's why there is like a big draft between the sisters. But we also get another POV of another main character that we are going to follow into this book, and he is Claire's friend brother, and he plays such a big important role into this book. And so we are following these 3 different POVs with very completely different characters. Our MMC, he's going through a lot of stuff as well. He's going through a lot of grief. He has lost his wife a few years ago, and we are following him on his journey of coming back home and healing himself and forgiving himself for stuff that has happened in the past that you slowly learn about as you read the book from each perspective. And I love this book so much. It is always such like an honor to read a book that Kristin Hannah writes. I am so obsessed with her. And this is a bit different from what she has previously written, because this is more of a general fiction sort of book, and she usually or mainly writes historical fictions. And so this was very different from what she has previously written. And actually, this book has been published the year that I was born. So it was published 22 years ago. 22 years ago? Yeah. No, I'm 23. 23 years ago. So yeah, this book was published in 2003. God, that took me ages. I don't know how old I was. That's funny. But yeah, if you want to read a book about sisterhood and friendship and grief and finding yourself and depression and anxiety and building on relationships and generational trauma, then God, this book has it all, and I would highly recommend it. I'm so obsessed with Kristin Hannah, and I'm so happy I got to read this book as well, and I would highly recommend this one. Then I have read Half City by Kate Golden, and I gave this book 3 stars. And this I read in a mood reading vlog with the next 2 books that I'm about to talk to you guys about. So this is the first one that we started the reading vlog with, and honestly I enjoyed it a lot. It is different from what I'm reading because I haven't read many urban fantasies, and I haven't liked, I think I've read like 1 or 2 and I don't remember which, but I haven't really liked them. So I was taken by surprise that I liked this book, and it was like very good. To be fair, I think that's when my reading slump kind of started. I had like a wave of going in and out of it. But in this book, we are basically following Viv, and she is a 21 years old girl, and she lives in the city. But actually, she is more than just a girl. She is a demon hunter. So whenever she can, she goes around and she hunts these demons, obviously, and these demons are not seen to the human eye, so she is very special, and she is more than just a demon hunter. She is a neon ion, again I forgot how you pronounce it, but in the world of demon hunters, if she is found, she's going to be set off, because the sort of person that she is, she's very dangerous because she craves that kill, she craves to go and hunt, and she craves to have a prey at all times. And so if she can't control herself, she can be very dangerous, and if people find out, she is going to be gone, basically. She's not going to be accepted. And so she's living like a double life from her entire family, from all of her friends as well, and she's struggling with that. But then one day she is hunting, and this instructor comes up to her, and he is like, there is an academy for demon hunters, and we make you better demon hunters, and we give you weapons, and we give you information, and we give you the knowledge that you wouldn't have otherwise. So if you want to come attend this academy, then you have to put like this coin in this like laundromat, and it's going to open up this like alternate universe where you can come and find the academy. So she's very reluctant to go, but she wants to actually see if this random stranger has spoken the truth or not. And then she goes, and she quickly finds out that her father, that has been murdered, also attended the same academy, but she hasn't been told. And because her father has passed away like under suspicious circumstances, and she has been the one to witness his passing away, she decides that this is the best way to figure out what has happened to her father and solve this murder mystery of her father. And because of that, she attends the academy, and she makes friends, and there's more disappearances that happen while she attends this academy, and they're somehow related to her father's murder. And we are on like a murder mystery sort of like hunt with her, at the same time as her hunting demons and making friends and having this very push and pull relationship with the instructor that came to find her in the first place. So this book has a lot of things. The demon aspect was very interesting. I really enjoyed that, and I am going to pick up the second book because I really enjoyed this, and I know for a fact that if I wasn't slumping, I think I would enjoy this book even more than just the 3 stars. But honestly, I would highly recommend it. It was very easy, the writing style was very good, and I honestly had a lot of fun with this one. Then in the same reading vlog, I have read Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver, and this is the second book in her Rose Hill series, I think that's what it's called. And this book I gave 5 stars. I have listened to the audiobook in one day. I had a lot of cleaning and a lot of chores to do around the house, and I put this audiobook on, I have binged it in a day. Honestly, this wasn't part of the reading vlog, it wasn't part of the plan, like I wasn't planning on reading it, but I just put it on and I was just expecting to like listen to like an hour, maybe two, that's it. But yeah, I've binged it and I loved it, and I gave this book 5 stars. And in this book we are following Wes, and if you've read the first book in the series then you know who Wes is, but he's a very flirty, very fun guy to be around. He seems like he doesn't take anything seriously, but he does have 2 children and he's a single dad. He has a boy and a girl. And then we are following Skylar, and Skylar, she is like a famous person because she is a singer and she wants to escape her horrible and busy life because something terrible has happened to her, and she drives into this small town and she wants to take a selfie with a bear, and she almost gets attacked by said bear, but Wes goes in and helps her, and the story basically goes from there. They form this like very weird, quirky and fun friendship that obviously develops into a relationship. But I love to see the different dynamics that Skylar had with the children, because these kids had like very different personalities. The boy, he is 8 years old or 10 years old, but he's very closed off. He doesn't really like to talk to strangers, he doesn't talk to people, but he talked to Skylar, and they had this amazing friendship. And then Wes's daughter, she's 6 years old and she's like a wildfire. She's crazy, she's jumping around, she says what's on her mind, she's always like on her feet, she always wants to do something, and she can talk for hours. And Skylar and her have like a very sweet and different and amazing relationship, and I love this book a lot. I also hate her father and her parents and her family. They've been mistreating her so badly, and I love to see how she came to terms with it and how she kind of took her revenge and how she started living for herself. And yeah, I loved it. It is very different from the 5 stars I gave to Anxious People. Well, this was more like a 6 stars, but you know what I mean. It was a very different 5 stars sort of book, but I have no complaints. I loved it so much. I could read this sort of books 5 more times. If you have any recommendations like this, I would love to hear them, because yes, this is the perfect book. This is the perfect audiobook you could listen to, especially in the summer. And also the audiobook was very good. She also has moments in the book where she sings, and the audiobook actually has a full-on song for it, and it was amazing. I would highly recommend this one. Then in the same reading vlog, I have picked up The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez, and again another 5 stars, 6 stars sort of book for me. And I don't know where to start with this book, because again I have a lot of like thoughts and opinions and feelings when it comes to it. I have read it in the same reading vlog if you want to see it. But in this book we are following Larissa, and Larissa one night she goes to this concert and she meets 2 guy friends, and one of them is Chris, and he's kind of like mysterious and he's closed off and he's very cold. And one of them is Mike, and he's a very sporty, very friendly and flirty sort of guy. And because something happened with her shoes, I think, at the concert, she accepts Mike's offer to drive her home so she doesn't have to drive by herself. And basically from that night they exchange numbers and then they start dating. But Mike is going through a lot of stuff that we don't know about really, and Larissa is not made aware of the things that he's going through. And because of that, he is mistreating Larissa in like the biggest way possible, and he's being not the best boyfriend, he's being horrible to her. And so we have Chris that is basically keeping Mike accountable when it even comes to his relationship with Larissa, but also the other things in his life, like his friends and the job that he can't keep up with. And there's so much more that basically Mike would not be able to do without Chris in his life. And basically the way this book opens up is with Mike calling Chris at 5 a.m. to ask and beg Chris to go and pick Larissa up and her mom and drive them to the hospital, because he promised her that he's going to help her, but he has a migraine and he can't make it in time, and so Chris has to go and drive Larissa to the hospital, and that's the first time they actually really speak. And while her mom is in surgery, they find like this stray dog that basically later in the book they decide to co-parent, and that's how their relationship is kind of like forming. But when I say relationship, it is very platonic. They're just being friends, and they are just there for one another, and they listen to each other. And Chris is doing his best to make Mike treat Larissa right, which is a very weird concept to me. And I've seen a lot of negative reviews about this book because it is like best friend's friend. What's the trope? I'm not sure what the trope is called, but basically a lot of people didn't enjoy this book because they found it as cheating and they just couldn't deal with it, which is fair enough. But to me, it was done in such a respectful and interesting way, the way Abby Jimenez portrayed Mike in Larissa's life as the villain, basically. And that's what it is, because at some point, even if we like it or not, we are going to be the villain in somebody else's story, and it just makes sense, you know. There's stuff that Mike goes through that Larissa cannot help him with because he doesn't want the help. So no matter who is trying to help him, he doesn't want it. So he won't accept it. He won't try to better himself. And I think everything that has happened in this book was chef's kiss. I would not change one thing about this book. And if we would have a continuation for Larissa and Chris, I would 100% read it, because this is the sort of couple that I know for sure if they were real, they will still be together in the future. But I am very keen and I'm very excited to see Mike's redemption arc, because he was kind of like a horrible human being in this book, and so I'm curious to see his healing journey and how he got to a better place. Hopefully, I'm very excited. I love this. And I think this and yours truly are kind of on the same place at this point, because I feel like I love them just as much, but for different things and in different ways, if that makes any sense. So I would highly recommend this book. If you haven't read it already, then 100% do pick this book up. And then the last book that I have read in April is A Good Samaritan, and this is by John Mars, and it is a thriller book, and it was quite popular a few years ago, if I remember correctly. And the reason I picked this book up is because it was like a free audiobook on Kindle. You know, when you have like a Kindle book and it has the free audiobook to it, I wanted to have like an audiobook on the go, so I've decided to go for that. That's why I don't have it physically with me, because it is not on my physical TBR, but I was just in the mood for an audiobook, and that was available to me. I remember that was popular, and I remember the premise, so I was like, I'm keen to see what this book is about at this point, and I gave it 2 stars. I haven't really enjoyed it. I don't have anything like bad to say, I don't have anything good to say. I just don't think it was the book for me. I don't understand why it was so hyped. I get that the premise of the book is very interesting and it's very unique, but for me the plot twists that we had were very like predictable. So I saw everything coming, but it was also fun at the same time. So I don't know, it wasn't a 3-star book because I wouldn't recommend it, I don't think, but I did enjoy it. Like, it was fine, it was whatever. We follow this woman and she is a very weird character in the first place, but she volunteers in this call center where people that suffer from depression and want to basically end their lives call, and these volunteers are there to listen to these people with depression and to basically just be there for the person that is going through like a rough time. And we quickly find out that our main character, she's a bit weird, and she's basically pushing these people to end off themselves for some reason, which the reason that she does that is meh. I just, where the plot twist was where. So yeah, but she's pushing people to end off themselves, and she gets like a high from that. She gets pleasure from that, and it quickly bites her in the ass basically, and the story just goes from there, and her family has to suffer because of it. And there's layers upon layers that are being discovered when it comes to this person, and nothing it is the way it seems to be. So yeah, I would recommend it maybe if you want something quick and to keep you going, really. Maybe if you're doing like a 24 hours reading challenge or something like that. But it wasn't the sort of book I enjoy because I just found it very predictable. Like, I knew what's going to happen before it happened. So do with that information what you will, really. But these are all the books that I have read in April. It wasn't a horrible month because I had a few books that were like the best books of 2026, and I'm sure of that. But it was just a bad reading month because I was in a slump and I just didn't fancy picking up any books for like good 2 weeks, which, you know, if you're a reader, that's just crazy and it's making me feel depressed. But now hopefully I'm out of it and May is going to be better. But let me know what you have read in April. Let me know if you have any books that you'd recommend that you've read in April. Let me know what was the most interesting book that you have read and the most disappointing book of the month. And let me know if you have any books that are on your radar in May as well. And if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe because there's many more fun videos coming up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.